With just under a month to go before its full release, Sega and Lizardcube shadow dropped a new demo for the upcoming Shinobi Art of Vengeance. Available on all platforms right now, gamers can try out Joe Musashi's latest adventure for themselves. That's what we did here at the Sega Guys, because this is Dan the Mega Driver with my thoughts on this surprise demo. Art of Vengeance has had me in a Shinobi mood since it was announced, and it feels somewhat poetic that the demo would crop up the same week that I published my retrospective on the classic console trilogy. And it's been a hell of a week for Sega related news, which, I've got to be honest, has been a little bit frustrating given that I've been on vacation this whole week. But while I haven't been able to play the other two projects, videos on those will come later, I was actually armed with my Xbox One X I brought with me, and that console was capable of running Shinobi. As such, all the video content that you see here is captured via that console's share function. Yes, where there's a will, there's a way. The demo itself was announced at the end of July's Nintendo Direct, and while I didn't see the announcement myself, my social media feed lit up and went insane at the news of a demo for this hotly anticipated Sega release. The demo can be downloaded from the store on your device of choice, so since I'm playing on a Xbox One, even legacy Xbox consoles that Microsoft has forgotten about get a demo and a full release of the game. So if you're on a modern Xbox, PlayStation 4 or 5, either of the Switch consoles or PC, you'll have no trouble finding this demo by slamming the name Art of Vengeance into the search bar of your store of choice. The demo itself is over 2 gigs in size, which seems quite chunky for a 2D retro action game demo, and you'll see why, because there is a lot of content in here. As you launch into the game, you're advised that you can save your progress in this demo, which is a nice touch, because you'll likely need to, but you can't bring those saves over to the full game, which is understandable. A lot of the actions in this demo likely attach themselves to things like achievements that you'll want to unlock in the full game. As the game starts, you're thrust into the story. Despite doing away with the Zed Corporation, you instead have the evil ENE Corp, who serve pretty much the same purpose in an intro that, despite being voiced, once again is very much in the same style of the original games. And the DNA of the original Shinobi trilogy is here from the very start. Joe Musashi's first scene is with his wife Naoko, who you saved in the Revenge of Shinobi, and now seems to be carrying Joe's first child. There's some dialogue to set the scene, and then you're let loose on the game. Movement should feel familiar to all Mega Drive Shinobi veterans, though the double jump somersault in this instance is far easier to pull off than the original games. But it's here where the combat begins that the differences are really felt. You see, the thing that jumped out at me during the trailers was that all the enemies had life bars, a significant deviation from the one-hit action of the original arcade game and even the console sequels. I was convinced that it would spoil the flow of the franchise from here on out. But boy, was I wrong. Now there is a huge difference here, and it's not just the health bars, it's the focus on melee combat. Attacking up close was an option, but not really your primary way of engaging with enemies in the original games. The attack button was actually the same for both melee and ranged attacks in the original trilogy, whereas in Art of Vengeance you now have 2 melee buttons and a throwing button. While it is a shift away from the classic controls of Shinobi, it just feels so right, and somehow, despite the change in focus, it still has the feel of a Shinobi game. A big part of that is the moves that Joe Musashi has maintained. We've already talked about his double jump somersault, but also his jump kick from Shinobi 3 is here, albeit again easier to execute and, if I'm honest, a little bit more devastating. Also from Shinobi 3 are Joe's abilities to jump from walls and also hang from the ceiling and other objects. Just like the rest of the series, ninjutsu features here as well. You do have to progress a little through the demo to get your first ninja magic attack, but once you get it, then you have the core arsenal from the Shinobi games, which is melee, ranged attacks and ninjutsu. And that is important. Nothing has been taken away in this instance. You can very much play this as a classic Shinobi game if you like. All of the tools are there at your disposal. Enemies too pull straight out of the series playbook. Throwing star ninjas and soldiers trying to pepper you with projectiles feature in the game, though of course they're backed up by a horde of brand new foes. Obviously, this is all complemented with new attacks and movement options. You have a light and heavy attack, which you can then chain into melee combos that you can unlock as you progress via the store that features in the demo at the various checkpoints. There's also a dodge or roll button that helps you vault small obstacles more efficiently and, more importantly, dodge enemy attacks during combat. Combat itself has an ebb and flow to it that feels extremely familiar. That feeling you got in the later levels of the arcade game when you took out a bunch of bad guys without taking any damage or dying? That's how it feels here, but modernised to a degree. Streets of Rage 4 immediately comes to mind too. The art style, the action, the feel of the game, it all comes off as if Shinobi melded with the 4th Streets of Rage title, which shouldn't be surprising given it's Lizardcube once again performing the development duties here. If you loved their previous work, you'll absolutely love this. If you weren't so fond of what they changed in Streets of Rage 4, I feel like that this is a much more balanced update to a series that we love that leans more heavily into the original games. That said, there are key differences outside of the melee action. Ninjutsu is accessed in a different way and has various forms, from a standard attack to a more screen-filling special move. You also get these execution moves as well that take down dozens of enemies on screen at once. These seem a little outside of the usual Shinobi wheelhouse in terms of execution, though, to play devil's advocate here, those familiar with the Master System port of the original game, where you did have to use button combinations to execute your ninjutsu attacks, will likely feel right at home here. Perhaps the biggest difference though is the game structure. The developers have been keen to clarify that this is not a Metroidvania style game, and that is true to an extent. Even in this single stage demo, you get an overworld map just like the original games. However, while there is a set path through the stage in this demo, it is still very much a sandbox. Not so much on your first playthrough, but most certainly on subsequent ones as you unlock abilities and use them to explore new areas that were inaccessible before, especially via the aforementioned shop. You'll find extras like elite battles and the challenging Anku Rift that yield rewards and help you towards that 100% stage completion. Yes, even this demo tracks your progress and has tons of unlockables. And if you want to improve your straight shoot through the stage, there's even an arcade mode that unlocks upon completion. How do you bring a 1980s arcade game into the modern day? Shinobi Art of Vengeance answers that question effortlessly. The demo paints a game that is tied to its arcade and console roots, yet has been updated in all the right ways to deliver something evocative, yet fresh, nostalgic, yet new. It may be just the first level, but after playing a number of 2025's latest, this, Shinobi Art of Vengeance, really does feel like Game of the Year material. Easy. If the demo is anything to go by, the full game will be nothing short of a masterpiece. The future is retro? Well, the future is very much Shinobi, and we cannot wait to get our hands on the full experience this August. We'd love to hear what you think of the Shinobi Art of Vengeance demo, and whether you're as excited as us about the full game. Until then, we'll be playing this demo over and over, and after which we will see you on the Sega side.